Why might Americans earning over $200,000 per year not appear wealthy? I am Chinese and who worked in the US and France. I find that Americans in general don't care about other people's appearance of being rich comparatively to these two places. And it is pretty socially unacceptable to talk shit on others. There is no requirement for upkeep. Like nobody ain't going to say shit about a dude driving a Corolla in the US. Good luck with that in China. Fancy clothes just aren't how Americans typically show off their wealth. In fact, wearing fancy stuff is often associated with people who aren't rich trying to come across as rich. It's cultural. 200,000 isn't as much as it used to be. 200K in HCAL areas like SF Bay Area, California isn't rich. That's like just above the poverty line. Cost of living is higher than in the vast majority of countries. Comparing to other high COL countries, the US has fewer welfare programs, so more income goes towards those. Americans are definitely a less classist society overall. Someone who spends to be rich looks like a dick. Plus, 200K is less money here than in India or Saudi Arabia. Wife and I make more than this. We max out our retirement contributions, bought a home lower than our maximum loan limit, I drive a vehicle that's 10 years old, both our cars are paid off, but we also control our spending. We shop for deals. I've been unemployed in the past, and it all can go away in a second. Nice cars have more costs associated with them. Taxes, insurance, maintenance, no thanks. A lot of comments on here about high cost of living. IMO it has more to do with low power distance. People spend money on what they place priority on. If they really wanted to look rich, they'd figure out how. As someone in the exact position you describe, I specifically dress casual in order to hide my income level and not engender jealousy or animosity. I'd rather not have people know what I make, so that I can make sure I'm not being treated differently just because my income. As a result, I do have more to invest, and I do things like traveling where people don't really know what I spent, but I specifically avoid showing off. Private schools, investments, retirement portfolios, experiences like nice restaurants, vacations, etc. Americans definitely spend this kind of money on expensive stuff. Hell, Americans with less money spend it on expensive stuff. That's why they don't appear wealthy. They just have stuff. What does appear wealthy mean? Also, try not to make assumptions based solely off those street interviewing videos. They are usually edited in ways to push narratives. In many countries, especially in the West, there's a balance of snobbery. I'm better than him because I have a Rolex watch, versus inverted snobbery. I'm better than him because I'm not a vain show-off who goes around wearing a Rolex watch. Maybe the first guy has a job in finance where you need an expensive car and a designer suit to get any respect. The second guy is also well paid, but he works in tech. Among people who prefer inverted snobbery, he dresses like a regular person to prove that he's a man of the people or whatever. 200K by me is nothing. The average cost of a crappy 1,300 SQFT house built in the 50s is almost 2M. 126K for a single person is considered low income. That's kind of the sweet spot where you make enough maxing everything for retirement, and don't have enough to spend on extra. Over that is when you start to see people spend like they are wealthy. I'm pretty sure that they spend it all on pay-to-win cell phone games. Wife and I gross about 500K. But we live in NYC. We own with a mortgage. We have no other debt and no kids. But fuck, it goes quick. We max out 401K and other options. We're definitely comfortable and enjoy life. But our apt is probably smaller than yours. Also remember, I pay an effective tax of almost 50. There is always tomorrow and you never know what it may bring, so save now for then. As other commenters have mentioned, 200K doesn't get you very far, especially if you have a family in HCAL cities. But there's a more interesting version of this question, which is, why might Americans earning over 1M per year not appear wealthy? By any reasonable measure, that's a lot of money, even in HCAL cities. The answer is that it depends on location. These are generalizations, but in the three places I know best, LA, they often do appear wealthy in the traditional sense. Brand name clothes and accessories, fancy cars, etc. Think Rodeo Drive. Nick, they don't appear wealthy at first glance, but you can tell if you know what to look for example tasteful, tailored clothes from niche in the no brands. Bay Area, they don't appear wealthy, even upon closer inspection. People worth 8-9 figures routinely wear company swag and all birds and drive Teslas, which are pricey, but not supercar pricey. It's the ethos of Silicon Valley. Knowing the Americans I do and who are wealthy are way more prone to showing their wealth than, for example, Scandinavian Nordic people. But I guess, like some have said, those who make these figures in the US live under crazy mortgage payments. The short answer is that your wealth isn't determined by how much you earn on your job, but it's determined by the value of your assets and investments. It's okay to work for your money, but it doesn't matter if you are making 40K or 400K. You're not going to get wealthy if you're not investing. Also, people who are wealthy are less likely to show it in public unless they are a public figure where their income and wealth are directly tied into their image.